When my wife, Clara, announced she had been selected for a month-long nursing mission in Africa, I was proud but nervous. I knew she had always been passionate about helping people, especially those in desperate situations, but the thought of her leaving for so long filled me with a quiet anxiety I couldn't shake. I kissed her goodbye at the airport, trying to hide the unease in my chest, and told her to take care, to be careful, and to come back safely. She smiled, her eyes shining with purpose, and promised she would. The first week was hard. Our apartment felt emptier than it had ever been, and I found myself staring at the wall, replaying every shared memory, every laugh, every touch. I tried to distract myself with work and friends, but nothing seemed to fill the void. Every night, I would fall asleep hoping to hear from her, and each morning, I checked my phone with the same restless anticipation. Then came the calls. At first, they were brief, full of the usual updates: the weather, the patients, the conditions in the hospital she was volunteering at. But as the days went by, her voice sounded different, tired, almost distant. I chalked it up to exhaustion, telling myself it was part of the mission, part of being in a place where life was raw and urgent. Still, I missed her terribly. 2 weeks in, I started receiving photos. Clara in a hospital gown, holding the hands of children too young to understand why they were sick, her face illuminated by a mix of exhaustion and determination. She looked so different in these images, strong, commanding, almost unrecognizable from the woman who laughed at my terrible jokes and sipped tea with me on Sunday mornings. My chest tightened as I scrolled through each photo, pride and longing battling for dominance. By the time she was scheduled to return, I had spent nights planning the perfect welcome, flowers, dinner, and the soft glow of candlelight in our apartment. I wanted to show her that even though she had been away, my love had not waned. I wanted her to feel that home, our home, was still the sanctuary we had built together. The airport was crowded when I arrived to meet her. Families reunited with cries and laughter, friends embracing with wide smiles, and travelers clutching their luggage with a sense of relief. I scanned the arrivals gate anxiously, my heart beating faster with each step of someone approaching. Then I saw her. At first glance, it was Clara, but something was off. Her hair was shorter, her eyes seemed sharper, and there was a hardness in her expression I hadn't seen before. She was wearing the same kind of professional scrubs she had in the photos, but they hung differently on her now, almost as if she had grown taller, stronger, somehow more distant. She smiled when she saw me, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Hi," I said, my voice cracking slightly. "Hi," she replied, her voice calm, almost too calm. I opened my arms instinctively, and she hugged me, but it felt mechanical, rehearsed. I pulled back slightly, searching her face for the woman I knew, the one I had kissed goodbye only a month ago. She looked at me, but her gaze was filled with stories I had never heard, experiences I couldn't imagine, and a resolve that made her seem like someone else entirely. The ride home was quiet. I tried to ask her about her experiences, about the people she had helped, about the moments that had changed her. She responded politely but vaguely, speaking in generalities. It was intense. I did what I could. Some things you just can't imagine. I nodded, trying to understand, but the gap between us felt wider than the miles she had traveled. When we reached our apartment, I opened the door, hoping to fill the space with warmth, to remind her of us, of everything that had stayed the same. But the moment she stepped in, I noticed the subtle changes. The living room, which she had always meticulously organized, seemed almost foreign to her now. She moved with a purpose, checking things, touching surfaces, as if she were cataloging a space she had once known but no longer recognized as hers. Days passed, and I noticed more. She spoke less, laughed less, and when she did, it felt forced. She would stare out the window for hours, her thoughts elsewhere. At night, I would reach for her hand, and sometimes she would let me hold it, but often she would pull away, murmuring something about needing sleep or work. I tried to be patient, telling myself it was just readjustment, that the mission had changed her perspective and she needed time. But the unease in my chest refused to subside. Then one evening, I came home early from work. The apartment was dim, and I could hear soft sounds coming from the kitchen. I walked in to find Clara standing at the counter, a stack of papers in front of her, her face pale under the fluorescent light. She looked at me, startled. "Are you okay?" I asked. She hesitated, then nodded. "I'm fine." But her hands trembled slightly, and the papers on the counter weren't work-related. They were letters, reports, photographs of people in Africa, patients, families, some smiling, some crying. I realized then that she had brought the mission home with her, not just in memory but physically, carrying the weight of every life she had touched, every tragedy she had witnessed. That night, I watched her sit quietly, flipping through the papers, tears slipping down her cheeks. I wanted to comfort her, to tell her everything would be all right, but I realized something profound: she had changed, irrevocably. She had seen suffering, felt helplessness, and yet had saved lives in a way I never could. She was no longer just my wife, she was someone who had been to the edge of life and returned, carrying its shadow. I sat beside her, finally understanding. I didn't need her to be the same person I had kissed goodbye. I didn't need the old Clara back. I needed to honor the woman she had become, the one who had faced unimaginable challenges and survived. I took her hand, and this time, she didn't pull away. "I'm here," I whispered. She looked at me, her eyes softening, finally meeting mine fully. "I know," she said. And for the first time since she returned, it felt like home. The mission had changed her. It had changed us. But love, I realized, wasn't about returning to who we were, it was about holding on, adapting, and embracing who we had become. And that night, for the first time since her return, I felt a quiet, unwavering hope that we could navigate this new reality together.